Welcome everyone. I appreciate everyone coming out on a pretty nice Saturday afternoon. This will be our job preview for hiring in 2015. We're going to cover a few things today, kind of go over the hiring timeline, the interview timeline, how many we expect to put on, when we expect to hire them. We're also going to cover our training academy. We're going to have one of our individuals here talk about the length, expectations, and what you can do to prepare if you're chosen for the academy. Then we're going to open it up for question answers and provide some new person perspective on how the academy went for them and how the job is going for them right now. So if you have questions, take notes, and there'll be plenty of time to answer questions towards the end of the presentation. So with that being said, a little bit about myself. My name is Butch Inks. I'm the Deputy Chief of Community Relations. I'm also the Deputy Chief of our Hazmat Response Team. I've been on a little over 20 plus years, and I've held the rank of just about everything so far. I was a firefighter for about 10 years, and I was a firefighter on the rescue squad for a while. Spent a little bit of time driving as a fire equipment operator. I was promoted to captain, became a captain of the rescue squad for a little bit of time, and then promoted to district chief, and now I'm a deputy chief. So those are pretty much all our positions. So as you can see, there's plenty of room to grow and promote within the department. So St. Paul Fire Department's been around over 150 plus years as a full-time department. As you can imagine, a lot of things have changed over that 150 plus years. But one thing that has not changed is our commitment to customer service. All of the services we provide are based around delivering a positive and productive service to our customers. So some of the services we do provide, we obviously firefighting, EMS, we have paramedics, we have a hazmat response team, we have a rope rescue team, we have a boat, we have a MART team, which is the Minnesota Air Rescue Team that teams up with the State Patrol. And then we also have a collapse team, and so we offer a number of services to our citizens. But if anyone in the crowd thinks you're coming here to fight fires 10 times a day, you kind of have the wrong idea. About 80% of the time, if not more, is spent on EMS medical calls. And 100% of our time is spent on serving the citizens of the community. So with that, I'll move into our little bit of our hiring cycle. We expect to put on about 15 to 20 personnel roughly in March. Early March would be the start of an academy. We're looking to start the interview process mid-January, and that, I'm not sure the number. We're going to interview roughly 60 to 80 personnel to interview. Some things we're going to look for in that interview, some of the things that make an ideal candidate for our department is your attitude, obviously a clean background, your willingness and ability to help out, hard worker, and have that sense of desire to serve the community. So within the interview process, that's your time to show us and tell us about yourself. You have about 20 minutes or so to tell us about yourself. The things you have done, the educational background you have, some volunteer things that you may have done within your community. So when you show up to the interview, if you get an interview, be prepared to tell us about yourself, because we don't know you, and this is your chance to tell us a little bit about yourself. So With that, I'll introduce our panel. We have Captain Roy Macoso, who is our lead training instructor for the Academy. He will be the instructor for this Recruit Academy starting in March. Roy will touch on what the expectations are of you and help you get prepared for March Academy. We have Liz Stayberg, who I'm sure everyone knows, and Liz may know everyone out there as well. She'll answer some questions on EMT certification and some things that some of you may need to provide yet. We have Kate Heckman, a firefighter who's currently going through paramedic school. Kate will answer some questions on the challenges of going through medic school and working on the street. And then we have firefighter Tulo, who's fairly new, and he'll be able to provide some information on how his academy went and how things are going on the street. And then we have firefighter Martha, is it Fetch? Hecht. Okay. Martha is also one of our new persons, and she'll also be able to help you answer questions on how the academy went for her and how things are going for her on the street. So with that being said, I'll have Liz come up and talk a little bit about some EMT certifications and other things. Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you should remember when going through this process, having to do with like minimum qualifications and things like that. If you have questions, I can definitely answer those at the end. But kind of now that you're on the eligible list, there are things that, you want to make sure that you know what's coming up and stuff like that. So first of all, I want to just remind you that while you're, on the list, waiting to get hired, please watch the firefighter information page, and we'll keep that site updated pretty regularly with updates and things like that. So that's the stpaul.gov/firefighter website. And on this site, you'll also find information about the ideal candidate that Chief Inks talked about. We are recording this session, and this will be available online after December 15th, so it'll be on this website as well. If you don't have access to the internet, my office does have a computer and can be used by candidates, and contact me if you would like more information about our location and our hours. Information on where to obtain your EMT is on this website as well. And any of the community colleges, Inver Hills, Hennepin Tech, are places that you can go to get your EMT. We invited candidates today with a score of 95 or better, and we really don't anticipate getting any lower than that on this list over the next couple of years. We do recommend that you think about getting your EMT certification if you haven't already. Make sure that you ask about financial aid and grants that might be available to help you with tuition assistance, okay? A reminder about the EMT certification, that you must have your state of Minnesota certification to meet the requirements of the position. Having only your National Registry certification does not meet this requirement, so make sure you get your state of Minnesota certification. And also, if we reach your name on the list and you would be eligible for an interview, but you don't have your EMT certification, your name will not be sent to the hiring department for consideration or for an interview. So again, if you don't have your EMT certification, you'll be passed over. We'll go to the next person, and if we get to your name the next time, we'll check and see if you have your EMT certification again at that time. So you will remain on the list at your current rank, like I said, but until you have your EMT certification, that's the time that you would be considered for an interview. If it's not clear to me from the Minnesota Emergency Medical Services Regulatory Board website that you have your certification. I may contact you and ask you for that information. We'll be checking certifications right after the new year. Okay, so that's kind of when you want to shoot for. You can double check your information on the EMSRB website to see if it shows accurately. A current active driver's license is also required. You can't have any suspensions or revocations within 2 years prior to appointment. So if you don't have your license right now for some reason, you know, the soonest that you would be hired to meet that requirement would be 2 years. So just keep that in mind. We highly recommend you bring a resume with you to the interview. The panel members will not know anything about you, so be sure that you tell them your entire story. Okay, they won't have a copy of your application. They essentially won't know anything about you except for the information that you provide to them. If you need help with creating a resume, the Minnesota Workforce Centers can help you with that. There's lots of information available online. There's a Workforce Center located right in St. Paul. Resume.com will kind of work you through building a resume. And again, we're just looking for something that kind of organizes your education and your experience and your training. You don't need to put in, like a ton of time on that, but, I would recommend just something to give to the panel members, to look at, during your interview. Most of you did get a handout when you walked in with some tips to get you thinking about some basic interviewing etiquette, and it may have been a while since some of you have interviewed. Just remember that it's the interview's assumption that when you're there, that is you on your best day. So be ready to bring your best to your interview, okay? The information for those of you that didn't get a handout when you walked in will also be available on our website. So I'll make a link to that, just some basic interviewing tips, and then those websites for resume help, okay? Let's see, after the interview, okay, if you're given a conditional offer, you are required to complete a medical exam, a psychological exam, and a background check. If you have an arrest or conviction that might come up in your criminal background and need help expunging it, please talk to me, as I have resources available that can help you with that process, okay? Candidates may submit documentation for veterans preference at any time during the length of the eligible list, okay? And points can be added at any time. Creating changes in the list due to veterans preference does change people's ranks, okay? So yesterday I just updated the website again. People's ranks moved around a little bit, but what you primarily want to do when you look at the eligible list information on the website is look for your overall score, and then because that will always be the same, to see where your rank is. After each academy is hired, or any hiring process, the eligible list information will also be updated. So it'll help you see how many people you're still tied with, how many people are still ahead of you on the list. So it'll kind of help you determine how far you've kind of moved up the list or not. And then for a final reminder from me, your address, email address, and phone number information must be kept up to date. Most communication will be done through email, but if you are contacted by HR or the fire department and you do not respond, your name will be removed from the eligible list. Okay, so it's your responsibility to keep that information updated, and just make sure that you do that. Okay? Again, if you have questions for me, write them down, and we'll just walk around and collect those. Captain Makoso is going to talk to you about the academy. We have just a short video we're going to show you just real quick, and then you can hear from him. Yeah.
So we'll have Captain Makoso come up. He's been with us for about 8+ years. He's ran 3 of our recruit academies. And to be honest and straightforward with you, they're not a joke. They're very intense academically and physically, and he does an outstanding job for us. So here's Captain Makosa.
Thanks, Chief. Wow, that's a great intro. All those videos you saw were shot during the 2013 Academy class. So while that is pretty awesome, I mean, the training that we do is very realistic, very true to life, and definitely very intense. All done, you know, under the microscopic eyes of all of us at training, ensuring that it's safe. My name is Roy Makoso. I'm a captain on the department. I've been a captain now for a little over a year. Been on the department for 8 years. I was a firefighter on the back of Engine 18. Was promoted to FEO or driver. Drove for a little under a year, and then was promoted to the rank of captain, where I've been for, like I said, a little over a year now. I've done 3 academies, as the chief had said, and I'm currently on the B shift at Engine 18 as the captain there. Congratulations to all of you guys and gals. Nice job. Very competitive process, and you're sitting here today. So 95 and above test scores were invited, and I think I looked at the eligibility list, and it's a total of 212 people. So while you've done a great job to this point through a highly competitive process, the competition only will continue to get tougher. Through the interview process, and then definitely through the academy. My advice to you during the interview process is be honest. You definitely do not want an issue questioning your integrity being the reason why you don't get this job, because it is an awesome job. Like Liz said, be prepared. Little things you do, like updating your email address, or if you've moved your address, or just finishing that EMT and getting that certificate in, okay? That makes the difference whether you get a letter or whether you don't get a letter. The academy is 16 weeks long. It's grown from about 12 weeks to 16 weeks, continually adding more and more information. So it's definitely very demanding. And I'll quote the Deputy Chief of Training, and he says, "The citizens and taxpayers of the St. Paul deserve better than a C-grade firefighter." The passing score for the academy are scores of 80% or higher. So that's practical skills, that's academically, 80% or higher. And granted, you know, in most college institutions you can get by with 70%, that'll get you a C and get you a pass. But we have high standards within the training division and within the St. Paul Fire Department. So just know that that's what's going to be asked of you if you do make it to the academy. The academy focus is really 2 areas, and it's academical and then also physical and practical skills. From the academic side, you've got the firefighting, which is what we spend 80% of our time at the academy on, but it really only equates to about 20% of our actual real time that we actually do that on the street. But through that, you know, whether you have the prior experience or not, whether you have firefighter 1, whether you have firefighter 2, whether you're coming in with no experience of fire whatsoever, we will train you. You'll be taught firefighter 1 and firefighter 2 at the 100 or 200 college course level. There'll be tests. You're expected to know the information. We'll present the information. You'll be instructed on it. You'll be giving quizzes, tests, and you'll be tested in an academic fashion on subjects like fire behavior, building construction, and fire prevention. You'll be instructed and tested on things like the standard operating procedures for the department, from everything from the use of sick leave to emergency fireground procedures. We'll go through hazardous material operations level course. We'll get you ready for your state certification, and state certified testers will come in if you don't already have it and get you tested for firefighter 1, firefighter 2, and hazmat ops. We do a lot of other training. Probably you've seen some of it in the video. Ice or water rescue. We'll do technical rescue skills. We'll go down to Flint Hills Refinery and do some very large burns down there. We'll go down to Dakota County and do emergency vehicle operations. We'll go out to Minneapolis, use some training sites out there, or abandoned buildings, being able to do some work off-site of the actual training facility. That's the fire piece. Again, about 80% of the training at the academy is focused on the fire side of things. The EMS side of things is about 20%. So again, vice versa, 20% of what we cover within the academy is 80% of our job. So this has become quite a difficult area for some of the recruits, just due to the fact that people who have gotten, much like myself, I got my EMT probably a year before I got on the job. And between getting my EMT and getting on the job, I never worked as an EMT. So just a quick show of hands, who here works as an EMT or an EMT paramedic currently? Great, awesome. Get a good leg up, okay? So what we try to do with that 1 day a week that we focus on EMS skills is bring you up to speed so that when you get out to the street, they're not having to teach you what to do. You can immediately insert yourself as a member of a team and work competently at what we do for the majority of our job. So you'll be instructed and tested on St. Paul and Regions EMS protocols. We'll have Regions doctors and staff come on site teaching. We'll go off site. You'll check off on a number of EMS skills, and you'll be performing all of this under the Regions hospital medical direction. We'll give as true to life EMS scenarios as we can, you know, using moulage, using accidents, using all kinds of different things. We'll refresh your EMT skills if it's been a while. The physical and practical skills, probably what a lot of people focus on. I'll cover two different things, the physical side and the practical skill side. From the practical skill side, you're tested on things like donning and doffing of personal protective equipment, ropes and knots used in firefighting, you know, 1 or 2 person ladder raises, or daily SCBA maintenance checks. Those are some of the practical skills, the hands-on skills, things that you can't just check A, B, or C for, things that you actually have to physically do. Then there's the physical training, which per the department SOP, PT is done every workday for 20 minutes. So in the academy, we'll PT every day for at least 20 minutes. That goes in addition to all the other tasks that we have to accomplish during that day. So maybe there's 4 hours of lecture, you know, 2 hours of vehicle extrication, some burns, and PT. So the physical part can be quite taxing, but PT is not a punishment. It'll physically prepare you for this job, especially as a new person on the job. As soon as you hit the streets and you're a junior firefighter, one of the least senior members, you're going to be the person at the foot of the cot doing the heavy lifting. Going in on EMS runs, you're going to be carrying the bags and probably the monitor. At a fire scene, you're going to be the one expected to be doing all the heavy lifting and most of the hard work. So if you're not physically prepared for that, we're setting you up for success or we're not setting you up for success, and we're setting you up for possibly injuring yourself. One of the most demanding parts, obviously, is the physical parts, but PT is one of those things that's not graded. It's there to help you improve on all the other practical skills. So if you do well in PT, you improve and your practical skill scores improve and you pass the first time as opposed to having to take multiple attempts towards something. You'll receive in-depth instruction on every topic I just covered and then more. Instructors will stay late with you. Instructors will open up the training areas early. We'll come in on weekends and open them up for you. We'll allow you to take gear home to practice with and train with. We'll give you tips, tricks, we'll monitor your progression, and we'll help you as much as possible. But at the same time, we're also there to assess you. We're there to determine, does this individual have the capability to be a successful member of a team on the St. Paul Fire Department. Every recruit struggles. I'm sure everyone on the stage will probably attest to it, but every recruit struggles in one aspect of the fire academy, and it might be stress. We work in an environment where there are life and death scenarios, and we can't just fabricate life and death scenarios every day out at training to see what you operate like underneath that stress, but we do our best to do it. So we'll put you under some stress and evaluate your decision-making processes during that time, because the time to do that isn't on the street. Some of the other areas recruits struggle might be just claustrophobia. Some people have never had a mask on before, an SCBA mask on, having to breathe through a straw while doing rigorous activity, or just the sheer weight and the heat of the PPE itself. Heights, climbing a 100-foot ladder. Some people struggle with that. Or just simply living and working as a team in very close proximity to one another, or just not being in charge and being told what you have to do. If you look around the room, we probably have 100 plus people here. And like I said, at that 95 band and higher, it's 212 people. 15 or so are going to be showing up at the training grounds in March for the academy. If you happen to be fortunate enough to be one of those people, I would strongly encourage you, just take a step back and realize that you're one of 15 and there are hundreds of people behind you waiting at home to take your spot. So be ready. Get your paperwork in. Update your address if you've moved. Update your email address. PT. Physical training isn't that difficult. Okay? Get out there. Don't start when you get the letter. Don't start when you get the phone call. Be ready. Be ready now, because the time will come quickly. That's all I have for now. If there's questions, feel free to write them down and ask them during the question and answer period.
Coming up, Liz. Thank you, Kevin Makoso. As you can see, the academy is pretty intense. So start preparing if you're not now. But one of the rewards you'll get from that academy is when you graduate and you hit the streets, you'll be prepared to respond to a run. Your first minute, your first day on the street. So you make it through that intense process, you're prepared to be a St. Paul firefighter. So with that, I think what we'll do is just open it up for questions now. Kate, you want to come up and speak a little bit on how medic school is going and everything else?
Part of what they asked me to come up here and talk about is, not to narrow it to anybody, but talk to the women that are in the room right now and give you my perspective on how the academy went and how it is on the streets. This is a male-dominated field. It's only about 4% women on our department. So going into the academy, you need to be prepared to deal in that type of atmosphere. It's unlike any other job I've ever had. But when I walked in, I'm treated like everybody else in the room. I'm expected to do everything else my fellow, all the cadets in the class were expected to do. So my advice to you is is to reach out for what you're having a hard time with and help others with what you're excelling in. So what Captain Makosa said is everybody's going to struggle with something. And that was very true in my academy. There's some things that were harder for me, but I excelled in some of the book work. I excelled in some of the things that, they talk about claustrophobia. Well, some of the obstacle courses we go through, I have a smaller frame as far as my shoulders, so I can get through a lot faster. One of the guys in the class that I thought he excelled at every little thing we did, he eventually found his weakness in things that were hard for him. So just know that it's going to be hard for everybody. In addition to the physical tests and the book work, there's also going to be a test to your mental capabilities as far as dealing with stress and the emotions. Your life will pretty much be on hold for those 4 months. Don't expect to see your family a whole lot. Don't expect to have any energy to do anything else. So my advice to you is start now, preparing yourself for that. It definitely was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's the best job I could ever ask for. Just know that everybody has things that they're going to struggle with. And find out what your weaknesses are early on and ask for help. I came into the academy probably the earliest every morning. We had to be there by 7:30. I was there at 6 to figure out what I needed to work on. I worked over lunch. I worked in the evenings and came in on the weekends. Find what you're going to struggle with and work on it. They're going to notice everything you do. Even when you think they're not watching, they are. And but if they see you working extra and working on those things, that's going to go a lot further than somebody else that's struggling that's just going to do the basic to get by. So those things. And if you are excelling at something and you see one of your classmates struggling, help them out. Because this is another important aspect of our job is it's teamwork. And so the captains in the room are also going to notice you helping out your peer. Because you may be helping them in 1 week and they may have to help you the next. But just be prepared to be physically tired and mentally exhausted for 4 months and reach out if you need help. So, and biggest advice I get for as far as physically preparing for the academy is start running stairs now. Keep running stairs, add weight, keep running stairs, because you will run to the point of puking, and then you'll feel like you're almost ready for the academy. So.
Thank you. We'll have firefighter Tulo come up and speak a little bit on how it's been going for him. And Tu, how long have you been on? How many? How long have you been on?
Just a little bit over a year.
Oh, well, all right, there you go. So, Tu is our champion snowboarder, by the way.
Good afternoon, everybody. So I'll just speak real briefly about the academy and kind of just follow up with Captain Makoso and Kate here. We're talking about, it's super demanding. It takes 3 months. You're going to be committed to the academy physically, mentally. That's your whole life. Totally worth it. So it does take a lot and asks a lot of you, but it is what it is, and it's tough physically, mentally. You'll be studying all the time. You'll go home sore. I was foam rolling my legs every day so I could do stairs the next day. So, but it's all good stuff that you can take to the streets. And then I'll talk just about the perspective of being new on the fire department. So the academy is tough, but that's just one part of getting into the fire department. Once you make it through the fire academy, there's a lot more to learn. There's a lot more like Captain Makoso was saying, about 20% of the academy is EMS related. So when you get to the streets, there's a ton of questions you got to ask. The fire department has a ton of guys who've been on for a long time. Everybody's got experiences from different backgrounds. People go to specialty schools. People really dig into the medic stuff. Some people are really big into the fire stuff. And so if you can pick everybody's brain when you get on the fire department, there's a lot of knowledge to be learned. That's another great thing about being on the job is that there's always something to be learned. It's such a dynamic field. You can go from, there's so many things on the EMS side, from knowing how to use your tools properly and then moving onto the fire side, knowing how to work those tools, and then you might get on a squad, and those tools are different. They're using hazmat stuff, so there's so many things to be learned, and it's always challenging you, and you just get on the job and ask a lot of questions. I'll leave it to you guys if you guys have more questions for me or for the rest of us here on the board, but it's definitely a challenging experience and extremely rewarding. So I'll leave it to Martha.
Hi, my name is Martha. I've been on St. Paul Fire for just over a year. I came on in the same class as two. I came on not off the list. I'm a 17C. I've had about 8 years in the fire service prior to coming to St. Paul. And St. Paul is as good of a fire department as everybody says it is. Academy for me is just like they were saying, it's got its ups and downs, and you're totally over it by about week 13, and then you still have 3 weeks left to go. But it's not a time to slack, and talking about running stairs and prepping beforehand is absolutely worth it. It's a little bit of a gut check the first week to see how many people are struggling with just the physical part of Academy, and it doesn't get any easier. So those guys covered that pretty well, so I am going to talk a little bit about, somebody asked about if there's a probationary period after the completion of Academy. The first year on the job, you're technically a probationary firefighter, and people will be watching you very closely, everything that you do. You'll be working in the pool, so you're working at all the different stations in the city and working with all kinds of different crews and on lots of different vehicles. Unless you're a medic, then you're on the ambulance, which is good. But after that first year, you're off probation. You're still part of a 3-year apprenticeship program with St. Paul. It requires a certain amount of training for us. We take classes for 3 years, is about how long it takes to complete everything, to get our hazmat and a lot of our tech rescue stuff out of the way, which the department pays for us to take and helps us work towards an associate's degree in fire science if you don't have a degree yet. As a part of that 3-year apprenticeship program, you take a yearly physical and written test. So even though you're done with Academy, you don't really get to lay off of the stuff that you've been working on for 16 weeks. The tests that we take on a yearly basis are similar to the physical tests that we take during Academy, so they're timed physical tests like an obstacle course like the CPAT and the physical tests that you guys do to qualify for the job here. But you're a little bit better at it by then. So yeah, getting through Academy is a big deal, and it's a huge sigh of relief to get out on the streets, but you definitely have a few years where you need to put your head down and work, and before the pressure is off. So that's all I have.
All right, now that we've probably thoroughly scared you, we'll lighten up a bit. Here's the thing with the St. Paul Fire Department. Every member on this department will do anything to help you, okay? We're not set out in the Academy to fail you. We're there to prepare you. And every member of the training staff, every member of the department, we're there to help. We all help each other out, and that's how it works. So if you're lucky enough to get chosen to go to the Academy, you will have plenty of help to help you get through that Academy. So with that, we'll maybe open it up to some questions. You just want to read them off? Okay. So here's some questions. How many people are on the interview panel, and what are their titles? We're going to have, as of right now, we're going to have 5 people on the interview panel. And they're going to be rank of firefighter and captain and deputy chief, and we're going to have 1 member from the community on our panel. So that will be the panel makeup. So roughly, 5 people, and that are their rank and title. The times available for the interview, we're looking again mid-January, and we're going to probably run it from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. roughly. They'll last about 20 minutes, so and then we'll schedule it within that 8 to 5 kind of time period. And what is the appropriate interview apparel? We're going to say professional. We provide a professional service, and those are the personnel we're looking for. You know, professional, confident personnel ready to serve the citizens. So, you know, a shirt, a tie, a jacket if you have it, but a professional appearance. When will the interview letters be sent out for the March Academy? We're looking at early January to have letters sent out for an interview process for mid-January. Can the interview process affect your ranking? No. Your rank is your rank. What the interview panel will do is rate in each individual, and we will turn that process over to the fire chief. So.
I just kind of want to expand on that. So if you go through the interview process and you don't get hired the first time around, you're going to stay at the same rank as you currently are. So, you know, there's no, you know, if we get to your name the next time, then you'll be able to do an interview again. And, you know, the panel's going to want to know, you know, probably what you've done since the last round of interviews. You know, what have you been doing to improve yourself and your experiences. So, you know, your rank stays the same, and, you know, you can interview, you know, as many times as we have an academy that you're eligible for that. The list will last probably at least 3 years, and could go anywhere to probably 5 years. So after we get to 3 years, the city council has to approve an extension of the list. So they could approve it or not approve it. We don't really know, but we just plan for 3 years. The number of people that will be hired in total really depends on the number of vacancies in the department. From the 2010 list, I think we hired 80 people from the list, and that was just based on retirements, people that left the department, so I don't remember where I was going with that. Somebody asked that question, how many people were hired. And then there's a couple more questions about like how many candidates will be invited to the academy this spring. Again, it depends on the number of vacancies. Right now, we're thinking that there's going to be between 15 and 20, okay? And kind of just to clarify, when we said that people with a score of 95 or higher were invited today, that means your overall score, not just who scored 95 or better on the physical, but your overall score. And then a couple questions about license, EMT, paramedic. If you're licensed in Wisconsin, there's not reciprocity, so you need to get your state of Minnesota certification, okay? If you recertify in 2015, you don't need to contact me with the new certification information. I will just be checking the website. And if you expire in March, so if your EMT or paramedic license expires this March, yes, you should renew that, you know, because you won't be hired with an expired EMT license, okay? And there's a question, I ranked in the top 30, don't have my EMT certification. How long will it take before my name comes up again? It really depends on if we have vacancies. So we could be doing a spring academy this year, or 2015, but we might not do another spring academy, you know, it might be spring 2016 before we do another academy. So it really depends. You know, we don't know that there will be an academy every 6 months or anything like that, okay?
All right, a couple of academy-directed questions. So the first one is the academy similar to basic training, or are you more supportive, less intimidating? Well, I can say that I don't smile a lot during the academy, and they can probably attest to that. But at the same time, we are a lot more supporting than what would happen in basic training. We don't yell at you unless it's a collective group. If you've done something that is unsafe or is not desired, you'll probably get pulled into a side classroom and get a documented counseling. So that's pretty intense. Low, you got plenty of those, so anything, I'm kidding. So the fire department is a paramilitary organization. We do have a rank structure. Customs and courtesies and professionalism and the history of the department all play into the way the academy is run. So hopefully that answers that question. Are women scored differently or given preference over men in the academy? One of the tougher evolutions for the academy is the flat chop, and for men, the time is 2 minutes. 2 minutes or under is passing. And for women, Martha, what's the time? It's 2 minutes. It's also 2 minutes, right? So we don't switch the dummies and end up with like a 130-pound dummy for female candidates and a 185-pound dummy for male candidates. On the street, if the patient is 260 pounds, it's 260 pounds for a male, it's 260 pounds for a female. So no different times, no different weights, no different anything. What's the passing percentage rate of the academy? I can honestly say I've done 3, and we've lost at least 1 or 2 in every academy. And these are academy class sizes of approximately 15 to 16 individuals. So rough math on that would be in the 15 to 20%. So, and believe it or not, the majority of people that have left it as a result of their own decision. They said, this is too difficult, I can't do this. And they break emotionally and say, you know, I'm gonna quit on myself. And it's unfortunate because a lot of these times, having been on the interview panel, I've seen the way that people have presented themselves in an interview, and then under some sort of physical duress or stress, they stop working. And I would rather see that out in a training environment where we can either help them become stronger, help them become emotionally or physically stronger, give them tips or tricks or things that they can do to improve in their weakness or their weak areas, as opposed to be on the job in a critical environment where they decide that they need to quit or leave or them themselves do something unsafe and become just another patient that we have to deal with. So those were the questions I had, Chief.
Okay, we have another, so why do St. Paul Fire Department allow re-ranking of the list due to the veteran points? Because that's state law. So a veteran can submit their 214 and receive the benefit that state law has awarded them. So it isn't the St. Paul Fire Department doing it, it's a state law. And so that's the answer to that question. If they didn't submit their 214 on time, they missed the points. No, again, state law says they can submit that and receive their benefit. So, more questions? So, is anybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, just a couple more questions. EMT, if you need your state and your national registry certifications, the requirement is your state of Minnesota certification. So if you need your national registry to get your state, I don't know. No, you can just get your state.
Easier if you have your national to get your state of Minnesota license is filling out a form. It's super easy. Okay. If you have your national, you should keep it.
Yeah, so in your national registry, if you have that and you're out of state, then it's easier to get your Minnesota as well. Does firefighter 1 and firefighter 2 expire? I don't believe that it does.
What was the question? What was the question?
If you've taken firefighter 1 or firefighter 2 at a college course but not gotten the state certification, then you haven't gotten the state certification. If you gotten the state certification, you probably got a card in the mail. Anybody, the MBFTE card, on the back of that will have an expiration. So if you're part of a volunteer department or a paid on call or something like that, typically they help with the administration of that, tracking your training hours, and help you recertify as well. I have a question from the gentleman in the red.
Does the Fire 1 and Fire 2 certifications have to be state of Minnesota?
It needs to be state of Minnesota, but again, if it's from a different state, through the academy process, we can figure out whether there's reciprocity or possibly you just have to take the test again for the state. So again, not a requirement in the interview process or to make it to the academy. The EMT absolutely is. So.
Okay, so here, why is there one specific personality type that is suited for being a firefighter? There isn't. As you can see, this panel is all different and our personalities are different, but I guess the goal of the St. Paul Fire Department is to bring these different personalities together to provide a service to the community. So our personalities are different, but our mission, our delivery, service delivery is common. So, anybody have any other questions? Anything?
A question about the academy. If you were to get injured, would you wash out of that? How would that work? Would you broke your arm, leg, something like that? Or just out of curiosity.
If you got injured during the academy, what would happen to you? It's a good question. It's a physically demanding job. Things happen, tripping and falling down the stairs. I've injured myself in training numerous times, but depends on where you're at during the academy process. If it's later on in the process and you've been showing great progression and it looks like you would have finished without any issues, then the decision is made by the Deputy Chief of Training, hey, let's keep testing him academically and on these other things. When he's healthy to return to duty, we'll test him on those. If it's early on in the process, then most likely for your health and your safety, so as to, not continue on with a stress fracture and have, additional health risks to yourself, that you be invited back for the next class. So. Okay. There's a couple more. There's the gentleman over there.
Cool.
Go ahead.
Can you give some examples of questions will be asked during an interview?
Yeah, here, no, I can't do that. But what I can tell you is again, you have 20 minutes to tell us about yourself, okay? What kind of certifications you may have. What have you done for your community? Volunteering, what have you done? Or who are you? So we can get to know you in those 20 minutes and figure out, are you going to be successful with the St. Paul Fire Department? So does that help you? Yes. Okay. Okay, wait, Liz is going to answer a couple more questions here and then we'll go back to.
Okay. Can we see the results or rank based on physical tests alone? Quite a few people ask me that, and I don't rank people. I don't have that information. I don't, it's not information that I tabulate because we don't do anything with that information. So I don't have that available. And, we really don't talk about, people's times, people's scores. Somebody wants to know what the fastest physical exam time is. I can tell you it's under 2 minutes, but that's about it. I do want to mention as well that, still use, if you're, looking at places to help you prepare for the physical test, kind of now while you're waiting, we do have a list of gyms that we still partner with on our website. Kate Clares from the Athlete Lab is here, and she will be here when we're done if you want to talk to her. It's a great CrossFit facility in the area. There are other ones available as well. So if you want to take a few minutes, if that's something you're interested in. She will be here too. And otherwise, I think those are all the questions that we had written down. So if you have additional ones, we will take those now. Yeah.
For the interview, along with a resume, would you like a cover letter or a list of references?
Yeah, as a any time you submit a resume, obviously cover letter, your content of your resume, and some references definitely would not hurt you. So more questions. I was 20 plus years ago. I was in your shoes. Okay, we didn't have one of these, and I had lots of questions. We took the test, we got a letter in the mail, and then you just waited. And so this is really your opportunity, if you have questions or concerns, to have us try to address them now. So here we go, hands are going up now. Go ahead.
Is there a living requirement?
A living requirement?
Within a certain distance?
No, there's not a living requirement once you're no, there is not.
You guys reach up the list of fill medic spots or interviews based on the rank order of one?
Interviews based, would we reach to get a medic to interview? No, negative. The civil service rules dictate who and how many we interview.
So just to clarify, when you go to interview your first group for the first 6 months, go straight down the list and you interview those folks, 1 through 60?
No, that's not how it works. I'll have Liz address that.
The way that we send a list of people to the fire department is, based on the number of vacancies that we have. So we do start at the top of the list, and it's the number of vacancies +2 plus ties. And because the scores are banded, and there's a lot of people in the ties, it could be that there's a very, like if there's 50 people tied at a band, like all those people would go, okay? So be sent to the department. So that's kind of how it works. And does that answer your question? And if you don't have your EMT, you get skipped over. So it's not, straight down the list, okay? And I think Martha wanted to talk a little bit about kind of life in the station, real quick.
Somebody asked if everybody that gets hired is the same type of people in this job. I think that you'll find, if you have the opportunity to work in the fire service, if you haven't already, it's like a lot of other jobs. The thing that people that do this job have in common, like the chief pointed out, is people who are interested in helping other people, who can work in a team setting, and who work well under pressure. And some people work really well under pressure, and some people don't work as well under pressure. And any house that you go into in the city of St. Paul is not 5 of the same people sitting around the table. Spending 24 hours at a time with 5 people just like you is going to end in a massive explosion. And it's like that in any job. So there's a lot of different type of people in this job, and it's not all smart people, and it's not all strong people, and it's not all the same. So, as the chief said, the people that we're looking for in the interview process are the people that you want to work with for 24 hours at a time. You want to have people that are good people who are there for the right reasons. And so it's kind of a crapshoot who you're going to end up with in the houses, which is part of the fun. So hopefully that clears that up a little bit for the types of people that the department is looking for. So.
Yeah, excellent. Any more questions, anybody?
What kind of NIMS certifications are required for the first year firefighter?
You guys don't cover 1, 2, you do?
In the academy.
You cover 1 and 2, 7 and 8 maybe?
1, 2, and 7.
1, 2, 7. So 1, 2, 7 will be covered in the academy, and then obviously throughout your career you can take 3 and 4. But as far as the required to be hired, Might be something you'd want to list on your resume though. So you had there you go.
Is there a plan to hire within that 15 to 20 candidates off the 17C list?
Negative. No, it'll come off of this eligibility list, this test everyone just finished, so. Way in the back.
Is there any pre-existing injuries that would medically disqualify somebody from passing the medical exam or the testing or interview process?
Yeah, I don't have that answer. I know once you'll have your medical background and your criminal background, and then I guess we'll look at it from there, but I don't have that answer.
Yeah, medically, if it's probably cardiac related, there's options, if there's something that you need to like take care of, it could be that you could be invited, then to the next round of interviews if there's something that, like you need to maybe correct in the meantime. But the medicals are followed pretty much along the NFPA kind of guidelines, not totally, but we don't specifically know what those would be right now, sorry. Yes.
Oh, yep.
The question was if there's any injuries that would disqualify you from getting hired. We don't know that at this time. And you have to pass a stress test. Perfect.
When a 17C process is just medical or local department contact St. Paul or the St. Paul with the local department?
The question was about the 17C process, and that's 17C is our civil service rule, 17C, which is transfers. And so we do like a job posting, a solicitation for 17Cs when we need paramedics. And so it's just a posting that we put out, and if you're a full-time paramedic working, working full-time for a department, then you would have the option to transfer in. But we only do that for paramedics.
Do firefighters who are interested in becoming paramedics, do they have the opportunity? Does the fire department help with that?
So the question is, does the St. Paul Fire Department, if an employee wants to go to medic school, would we help out with that? And just so I happen to have Kate here, we're happy to answer that for you.
It all depends on the funding the department has. They just put together a class this last year, so I'm currently in paramedic school. I'm also working full-time. The city is paying for it, but it was a process to get on, so they solicited to the entire department, and people submitted resumes and were interviewed and chosen within the department to go. So they sent 12 of us this year. We're working our normal shift 12 days a month, plus going to school Tuesdays and Thursdays full-time for a year and a half. So that's the process that I'm in right now. So it all depends on the paramedic need. They haven't indicated if they're going to do it a second time, or it all depends. And that's related to, like the 17C that Liz was talking about, is when they're short medics, it's something that they will do the job posting, but this was the other route they went, was to send people within the department. So.
If you get called for an interview when you're already in medic school, how would that be? If you're currently in medic school and you pass the interview process?
But I guess, so your question is, would that...
Well, say the academy falls before your medic school would be over.
Okay, so would we hold a spot for you? Is that your question? If someone was in medic school and then no, we wouldn't. No, the academy start date would be set, and obviously you'd be expected to be in the academy. So.
You know, I kind of think that that's a decision that you have to make, whether or not you want to finish medic school first. But, you know, if we're hiring currently, there's no guarantee on when the next hire is going to be. You know, obviously St. Paul needs medics, but that's kind of a decision that you have to make.
Questions? Any more questions? Okay.
We're currently in the process of getting our EMT, or finalizing it. What's the time frame that we have to have that complete before admission into the academy?
So you're currently in the EMT course, so we would need that certification turned in by the end of the year.
We'll check the website after the first of the year.
So it's before an interview?
So to be on the list, to be sent to the department for consideration, we'll be checking the EMSRB website right after the first of the year. I don't know how long it takes between taking your test and passing it for that information to get updated to the website. But, you know, I would shoot for, soon. You know, it's probably the sooner the better, if you can complete it for this first round.
So the process is, you know, everyone's ranked on the list. The list is owned by HR, and they submit names to the fire department. And the names we get submitted are only those personnel that have their EMT turned in and completed. So if you don't have it turned in, I suggest you get it turned in by the end of the year. That answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. More questions, anybody?
You probably already answered this question, but roughly how many people will receive an interview?
We're looking 60 to 80, you know, roughly, you know, so. Yeah, and it's all dependent on who has their EMT in and stuff like that, but 60 to 80 would be a fair guess. Anyone else? Any questions at all? This is your opportunity.
How long is the interview process? I know mid-January is going to start, and the academy starts in March. Will candidates figure out 3 weeks before the academy starts, or how soon?
The interview process we're hoping to complete in about 5 days, and turn our results into the fire chief, you know, no later than February 1. We're looking probably late January to turn that into the fire chief, and then the fire chief owns the list on who, you know, he wants to hire. So early March start date for an academy, and, you know, for sure, you know, 2 to 3 week notification on if you're going to start that academy or not. So.
Well, I think you're going to know right away, like, if you're going to get a conditional offer. So, like, you should know probably within a week or two, because then once you get a conditional offer, you're going to have to do your medical and your psych and fill out background information. So you're going to know that you're going through the process, but there are people that sometimes don't pass the background check or the medical or the psych. So it could be that maybe you weren't in the first, 20 selected, but maybe if people fall out of the process, then you would be given an opportunity. So you might have a shortened amount of time that you need to do your medical and your psych, but all those things are going to happen, before you actually start the academy. So it shouldn't be last minute unless somebody drops out the process late in the process. Okay?
I was just wondering, St. Paul's policy for working other departments on the outside?
Like volunteer departments?
Volunteer, part-time, paid on call.
It's the two unions? Or the union has to agree? Okay, so So you'd be, if you were hired, you'd enter into a union, Local 21, IFF, and then they would have to agree to you working for that volunteer department.
One thing to add on that. So basically, the department's union and Local 21, St. Paul's union, would need to agree on it, because sometimes other departments are trying to get guys, or trying to push to get full-time slots, and if by including or allowing more volunteers to work or paid on-call to work, that doesn't give them a ground to stand on to add those full-time slots. So the unions have to work it out, and if it's agreed, then it's usually good. But it is strongly discouraged, and again, strongly discouraged to do that during the academy timeframe. There have been folks that continue to work paid on-call or answered runs in a volunteer status and showed up to the academy the next day having only had 2 or 3 hours worth of sleep and started failing tests. Okay, so your commitment is to the academy while you're in the academy, and it is strongly discouraged. So,
Did you have a question?
Will we be notified if we get passed on for the interview process? Say if we don't have our EMT, will we be notified if we do not, or if we are passed on?
No, if you don't have your EMT in, you will not receive an interview.
No, I'm saying, will we get notified if we were passed up? Because we're on the list, say you're 72, and you guys interview 80 people, but you don't have your EMT, so you get passed on. Will you be notified if you get passed?
No. The question is, if you get passed up and don't receive an interview, will you be notified? And the answer is no. You won't. You will not be notified of that. Anybody else? Any questions at all? See anybody? I don't know. Well, that will conclude the job preview. Again, good luck to everyone, and we appreciate you coming out, and hopefully we've answered everything and addressed the concerns you may have. So, and good luck to you. Thank you.